If you know how to start a conversation in English naturally, it's like having a superpower. People will want to talk with you. It's going to be very easy for you to make friends. If you can't do that, in this video we're going to talk about how to do that. I'll give you a hint. It's all about the questions. Before we get started though, I want to give you two quick examples of conversation starters. A good one and a bad one. I'm just going to look at my phone here. My recent chats. Both of these people have added me very recently and have asked me a question. Do Americans sorry, almost fell asleep there. Do Americans like football? The question is, do Americans like football? That's the question. What do you do with that question? How do you deal with that? I don't know. I don't know. First of all, I'm answering a question for all Americans, which I can't do, because there are at least 15 of us, maybe even more, right? So that's tough. It's not about the topic. It's not about football. The other part of the question, the part that makes it really tough, is after I answer yes or no, where does the conversation go? Do Americans like football? Yes. Well, see you later. Where does it go? Bad question. Good question time. I have an itch on my nose. Oh, that feels good. I have a question about American culture. Why do many kids in America tend to grow up being so independent? This is an interesting question. I have a lot to say. The wheels are turning, right? My head's not just full of peanut butter. My wheels are turning. My wheels are in here. I've got wheels. I've got wheels in here, and they're turning. I've got an opinion, and I want to share it. So, the basics. The goal should be to ask a question that makes the other person's wheels turn, that makes them want to share an idea or give an opinion. Everybody's got wheels in here. We've got wheels and we've got peanut butter. And if it's a good question, the wheels turn. If it's a bad question, peanut butter. Just peanut butter. So how do we do that? Well, generally, we want to ask questions that are both open and specific. Can we ask yes-no questions? A yes-no question is like this. Do you? Are you? Can you? That sort of thing. Well, sometimes, but you have to be careful with yes-no questions because some yes-no questions don't lead to anything. If the question can be followed by something like why, then maybe it's okay to use it. Here's an example. Do you like chocolate? Yes. Why? Because it's good. Peanut butter. Okay? Doesn't go anywhere. Bye. Okay? It's weird. But you could ask a question like, do you like travel? Now that's a little too broad, but okay. Somebody says yes. Then you can say why. People like travel for different reasons. So it's an okay question because they can give their reasons, the reasons they like travel. All right, so let's look at some examples of how we can use open and specific questions to begin conversations about certain topics. Your friend just came back from vacation and you asked the question, did you have a good vacation? This is a yes-no question. Your friend says, yes. What do I say? Now you have to ask another question to get more details, right? So you might ask her, yes, oh, it's a woman with a deep voice. You might ask her, well, tell me about the trip. Now that's not a question, that's a request, but it still works. Or you could say, what did you enjoy about it? Or something like, what was the most fun thing you did? Anything like that makes the other person tell a story. A very common question in this situation is, how was your trip? How was your trip? How was your day? How was school? Very, very common question to get the other person to talk about what they did that day, what they did on the trip, what they did at school. Now, if they just say, if your friend says, it was good, then you can again use those same questions. Well, tell me something interesting that happened on the trip. Or what was your favorite part about it? Or something like that. Something a little bit more open. When I'm in China, a lot of people ask me, do you like Chinese food? Do you like Chinese food? Now this is an okay question, but if I say yes, then again, you have to follow it with something. You might say, what's your favorite kind of Chinese food? Or what's your favorite thing to eat when you're in China? Or what are your favorite things to eat when you're in China? That would be okay, but why not just start with those questions? Why do you have to begin, do you like Chinese food? Right? You could just start, what are your favorite things to eat when you're in China? That's a great beginning question. How do you feel about Chinese food? How do you feel about Chinese food? All right, so this one is open, but it's not very specific. It's a little too broad. So it's all right, it's okay, but because it's so open, I don't really know where to begin. So to make it more specific, I could say something like, how do you feel about Chinese food in your country compared with local Chinese food? How do you feel about Chinese food in America compared to Chinese food in China or local Chinese food? That is more specific, still open. And I have a lot to say, I have an opinion, and I have to compare two things. This is a good beginning of a conversation about Chinese food. Maybe we're talking about something more in-depth, something a little bit more complicated. Let's say it's about university tuition. Tuition means the money that we pay to go to university. Okay? So we want to talk about this topic. Now I could say, what do you think about expensive university tuition? What do you think about? What do you think about is a good way to begin an open question. But that might be too broad. Maybe the person who hears that doesn't know where to start. So I might need to make it more specific. So I could say, what do you think about the idea of free university tuition, like in Europe? This is more specific, and the person who hears it might have something to say. The wheels are turning. No peanut butter. Wheels turning, right? The person has an opinion. And if they don't have an opinion, then you don't want to be friends with them anyway because they're peanut butter people. Get out of there. Do something else. Go play video games. I really like why and how questions. I think they're very good wheel turner questions. So I could say, why do you think university tuition in the USA is so expensive compared to the rest of the world? Why? Now, there may be a correct answer, but I don't care about the right answer. I care about what you think about this topic. I care about what you think. I want to know what's in your mind. Then maybe I'll have a new idea. I might get some more information. At least I'll get to know you better and how you think better. Or how about a how question? How questions are also really good ways to get the wheels turning. How do you think students should decide whether or not the high cost of university is worth it? How do you think students should decide? So if you remember anything from this video, just remember, your goal should be to get the other person's wheels turning. And to do that, you want to ask a question that is both open and specific. All right, guys, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions for videos you'd like to see in the future, please let me know in the comments, and I will see you next time.